Hello, this is a response video to a Fred or conference report. On his video he did entitled Matter Spirit Dualisms. And by the way, when you ended your video saying I don't know if any of that made any sense. To me it did. To me it made tons of sense, in a sense. But yeah, I thought it was a really good video. I'm trying to make this short. I think it's not so much that dualism has a bad name. I just think when you start conversing, with the word dualism and the word scientific in the same sentence, you'll have people that kind of walk on eggshells when it comes to that subject, and I can. It's understandable why, it sounds kind of, hocus pocus and hokey pokey, and, I need facts and I need the evidence, and this dualism, spiritualism thing, doesn't exist, and all, all these go off into different tangents. But personally, I believe that from birth we kind of are, sure, subconsciously our brain's doing all kinds of things, far more on just on a left and right, yes or no basis, with dealing with duality. But I personally believe that from birth we kind of are, I'll say programmed, but I think it is instilled at us at a very, very, very early age, the ideals of dualism, and it is indeed a reality that exists inside our minds, whether we're aware of it or not. I think even just our visual, our perception of ourselves as human beings, being that we're bilateral beings, that we can kind of slice each other right down the middle, and we'll have two, if we're blessed enough by nature, we'll have two equal, opposing sides with one another. So I think we kind of, just that alone, I think, as as an infant, or as a, baby in a cradle or whatever, seeing your parents or your family and your relatives and all that, even though you're still kind of processing what the world around you is and what it isn't. I think even just the way our bodies are structured in themselves kind of instill that inexplicable feeling of that there is kind of this dualistic nature to everything around us. And even in our thoughts and in our philosophies, of what's acceptable, what's unacceptable, yes or no, and that's another thing, as growing up as, toddlers and babies, and just growing up throughout the years when we're at that very young age. I think that's the first thing you instill inside of the human mind, yes, 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 no, no, no. Usually a lot more no's when you're 2, 3, 4 years old. It's no, 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 yes, no, yes, no, yes. And I think that's probably even just another addition to these ideals and philosophies of dualism that are instilled in us. Because everything in life is a choice, or it isn't a choice. It is or it isn't, or you choose to act upon an impulse, or you choose to neglect it. So I myself am a believer in, this dualistic, this dualistic nature that is within us and instilled in us. And it doesn't have to be this, ooh la la hippie, trance kind of out of body experience kind of thing. I think if you tread lightly enough, it can be scientific and not just this philosophy. And I think even those two things, and tie into each other, and maybe as much as we don't really realize. Because you have to philosophize before you can be scientific. Am I right? You know, that might rub a lot of people the wrong way and be, oh, it's bullshit. But like, you know, fast forward a couple hundred years ago or 1,000 years ago, and within our stages of evolution to where we are now, one has to philosophize and internalize the 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 world that's inside our mind to then externalize what's outside in the observable universe. And I could probably go on for this forever, but I don't want to get too rambly. But I thought it was a great video. It did make sense, to me at least. No sense makes sense. And it was a great video. Laters.